Hello there. I've just watched a video of the new Liberal Democrat leader, Vince Cable, saying that the European Court of Justice must have the final say on the rights of EU citizens living in the UK post-Brexit, and I suddenly realised that he is unable to comprehend a self-governing UK. In an interview with The Express, Sir Vince Cable said that to protect the rights of EU citizens in the UK and UK expats living in the EU, then we would need to abide by some ECJ rules as part of any Brexit agreement. There will be an element of European Court of Justice jurisdiction if there is some agreement, as there has to be on the European nationals in Britain. Protecting the interests of British people in the European Union, and we have lots of pensioners there, well over 1 million, it will involve some protection of their rights and European Court of Justice rulings apply. What's this use of the words will and there has to be? There is no will or there has to be about it. Question. Does the ECJ have jurisdiction over the US Supreme Court where EU nationals living in the US are concerned? How about Australia or Canada? What about all those countries in South America or in Africa or the Far East? How about China? The truth is, as a self-governing and modern nation, we will treat all the people within the UK equally under our law. All Vince Cable and his ilk want to do is paint a future picture of workhouses, slums and the downtrodden masses if we dare to leave the EU, in a sorry attempt to reverse the referendum decision. How can any self-respecting sovereign nation give one group of people, EU nationals, some sort of special treatment? How can that be fair? And what if certain UK rights became better than those in the EU? Would that mean that we could then treat EU citizens worse than others living here just because ECJ rules are not as good? His is a ludicrous suggestion that does not stand up to a moment's scrutiny. What would our Vince say, for example, if the UK demanded that, as part of any package, the UK Supreme Court will have ultimate jurisdiction to protect the rights of UK nationals living in the EU post-Brexit? His whole premise is just nonsensical. Vince Cable then went on to say that, but I think what a lot of people perhaps have not taken on board is that if we crash out of the European Union and go under World Trade Organization rules, you're then under the authority of a different kind of court of justice. The World Trade Organization has what they call dispute panels, and they operate in exactly the same way as a European Court of Justice. So you're not achieving sovereignty, all you're doing is transferring it from Brussels to Geneva. What the Lib Dem leader seems to have forgotten is that the EU has a seat on the World Trade Organization, so is under its authority already. If the EU has a dispute with another country, the USA for example, then the EU would be subject to a WTO dispute panel. He also seems to have missed that the ECJ only covers intra-EU matters and the WTO covers the globe. The hint's in the names. While the ECJ has any jurisdiction over us, we are still in the European Union. But as for the UK, while a member of the EU, we have effectively given up our seat on the World Trade Organization and have to see what the EU can negotiate on our behalf as part of the 28-member seat bloc, and hope we get remembered in the talks. Once we come out from under the EU, we will regain our own seat on the World Trade Organization anyway, whatever happens, and be a full part of that worldwide body, whether or not we have a deal with the EU. Our Vince is wrong. We are not transferring sovereignty from Brussels to the WTO. We will be regaining our sovereignty and taking back our right to sit at the WTO table fully in our own right, not as a bit part to a power-hungry EU. If this is the best the Lib Dem leader can do for his party's flagship exit from Brexit policy, then I don't see their credibility or his leadership lasting much longer. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Going on to WTO rules would not bring the doom and gloom the Remainers would have you believe. And if that possibility existed, do you not think that the EU negotiators would already have threatened us with forcing WTO rules on us unless we comply with their demands? They haven't, so you have to ask yourself why not, and the answer is pretty obvious. All this leads me to the conclusion that the Remain side cannot conceive of a UK that stands on its own 2 feet in the world. They do not understand that, as a sovereign nation, we have the right and power to make our country whatever we want it to be. We don't need to clutch at mummy EU's apron strings anymore, constantly asking for approval. Anyway, do you think Vince Cable has got what it takes to push his party's pro-EU stance? Do you think the Lib Dem EU policy is credible? Please leave a comment below. Thank you. Please do like and share this video, and also subscribe to my channel. And when subscribing, please do remember to press on the little bell next to the subscribe button. That way you'll get an alert every single time I put up a new video. Thank you very much for watching.